You're listening to the Empowered Divorce podcast, where you practice being the chooser in your life again, one day at a time. Thanks for joining me. Well, hello, my beautiful, amazing listeners. How are you? Thank you for being here. I'm recording an episode today because it is the month of gratitude. It is the month that you might be scrolling along social media and you're finding yourself maybe being triggered a little bit more as you're seeing more gratitude posts and acknowledgements. And here you are having the most hellacious year that you've probably had in your entire life. Those of you who are in this place where feeling like you need to be grateful, or feeling the pressure to be grateful, or feeling so many people around you express more gratitude, feeling pressure. I want to speak to you today. I want to acknowledge how painful this can be, as, like I mentioned, there most likely have been little, if few things to be grateful for these past few months or even this past year. With so much loss, with so much discord, with so much conflict. Those of you who are experiencing high conflict divorce, those of you who are experiencing grief like you've never experienced in your life. I think sometimes moving into this time of year, it can really be triggering to feel like you are supposed to feel gratitude. I just recorded an episode on radical acceptance, but today I'm going to offer another phrase, another idea that hopefully will help ease some of the pressure that you might be feeling to be grateful right now, when perhaps you just can't fathom it. Graceful acknowledgement goes a little along the lines of acceptance, but not so radically. Radical acceptance is a very strong word because it is complete and total acceptance. It requires you to move. It requires you to do something. It requires you to let go of the rope. It requires you to make a shift, a change. It requires you to do some actionable thing in most cases. But graceful acknowledgement is a little gentler. It is about recognizing and accepting where you are right now without feeling the pressure to feel differently or even do something differently. Graceful acknowledgement is the practice of acknowledging your feelings, your struggles, your reality with the gentle acceptance that doesn't demand you to change anything or start being hopeful, start being positive. It's about wrapping your arms around yourself right now and being okay that you are not okay. Practicing graceful acknowledgement is simple. It's recognizing your feelings, it's validating them, whether it's sad, anger, frustration, grief, disappointment, deep despair. It's acknowledging these feelings and validating that you have a right to feel them with what you are going through, with what you're experiencing, with what your current situation is actually demanding. Sometimes our situation is demanding the emotion of anger, of grief, and not gratitude. Having self-compassion for where you are at and practicing doing exercises that maybe this involves writing yourself a letter right now, writing yourself a letter from the perspective of a self-compassionate friend, giving you permission to feel what you feel right now and be where you're at right now, and do so without any judgment. Think about the moments in your day where you felt a little less angry, a little less grief, a little less burdened. Maybe it's during a walk. Maybe it's when you eat an actual meal. Maybe it's when you're watching a show. Notice that moment of relief rather than trying to force gratitude. Notice when you're not as depressed, when you're not as activated. These aren't moments of profound gratitude, but just these subtle spots where the weight just is lightly lifted. This can be a little bit more tangible, a little less daunting than trying to find these big things that we're grateful for in the middle of hell. The other thing that you can do right now with graceful acknowledgement is setting realistic expectations, trying not to force yourself into a phase that you're not ready for. Gratitude is a phase, gratitude is a step. Gratitude is more along the lines of maybe finding meaning in that stage of grief. And we're just not there yet. I can't imagine telling somebody who just comes to me as a client and says, I just discovered my partner's infidelity. I wouldn't push them to this stage of grief that says, well, let's find the meaning behind it and something to be grateful for, right? That would be audacious. That would be ridiculous. It would be rude. So right now, if you are feeling pressured to find some big gratitude in your life when you're not ready for it, it's audacious. It's not appropriate. You're not ready. It would be rude. So validate that you want to engage in ways that feel right for you. That can be incredibly empowering when you don't have this huge expectation to be in a place or in a space emotionally that you're just not ready for. You can have boundaries to protect these traditions of Thanksgiving and events that can feel really overwhelming, setting realistic expectations, maybe when you are having Thanksgiving, when you are going to these different things. If you aren't feeling like you're in a position to say no to some of these different things that you'll do, maybe shifting, maybe saying no to bringing something this time, maybe saying no to making 4 things and just make 1. Set realistic expectations for yourself right now and not give in to some of this societal pressure or family pressure that the holiday season sometimes demands or expects. You get to be in charge of what you are ready and able and capable of doing right now and giving yourself grace to be in that place. Now, if you are open to it, you can gently shift towards a gratitude practice that isn't about a big or specific thing, but rather about the ability to endure and continue. My shift started with being grateful that I just got out of bed, being grateful that I walked my butt over to the shower, being grateful for laundry soap. I remember walking down the hall and looking into my laundry room and just saying, I'm glad I have laundry soap. It didn't have to be anything big. There wasn't really anything big that I felt grateful for. So if you feel ready or up to it, start with something small. Start with something tangible, something tiny that you can appreciate in yourself. I am really grateful that I faced today, which was really, really hard. It was hard to face my family, being the only single one. I'm really grateful and proud of myself that I leaned into that uncomfortable situation. I am really, really grateful for my determination to heal, my determination to take care of my children, my determination to own my truth. Sometimes just starting there can open the door to a little bit more profound sense of personal acknowledgement and validation and gratitude. Shifting your focus from big acts and acknowledgements of gratitude right now, shift to graceful acknowledgement. Validating your feelings here can provide that supportive space to recognize your current experience as it is without guilt and without pressure. This is a way to honor your journey, honor where you're at, honor what you have been through, honor your grief, and gently nudge you towards the healing path, but from a more realistic and personalized way. I hope this helps. I hope this helps allow you to accept more of where you are currently at and not feel so much of this pressure as perhaps you might be getting from other people around you that are starting to talk more about this time of year. As always, even right now, you can choose the experience that you want to have during this holiday. You can step into a more empowered space as you give yourself some graceful acknowledgement that you might be in, that you might not be in the space of gratitude. And you can create that for yourself because you can. Take care, everybody.